What's going on, 5-9 Gaming crew? Letho and up here, and guys, welcome back to another 5-9 Gaming Weekly Wrap, the series where we go ahead and we talk about the gaming news that just happened this past week. Starting with, we have 4 pieces of news on the agenda to talk about, along with some games that released this past week. So let's go ahead and jump there first. As a reminder, we get the game listing from Game Informer, so go check out Game Informer for the full list of games that dropped. But here's a couple. We had Corpse's Party 2021 edition. That was on Xbox Series X and S. We had it on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. That was October 20th. Grotto, that dropped on PC October 20th. Echo Generations, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC. That was October 21st. And then the one we talked about last week, the Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes, finally dropped, and that is on PlayStation 5, Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, and that was October 21st, along with Carrion for PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, October 22nd. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the very first piece of news on the agenda, and that is Matt Booty, head of Xbox Game Studios, says Xbox wants more PlayStation-like blockbuster games on the service. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. In a recent interview with Kinda Funny Games, Matt Booty talked about Xbox Game Studios and focused on discussing Game Pass and a diversity of the indie to AAA games it has to offer. He was asked if he would like Xbox to have more PlayStation-like blockbusters in its lineup, and Matt Booty basically praised PlayStation's output. And he said the following, which is a bunch of quotes from the actual article. He said, "First, just to bring it up, hats off to Sony and their studio system and their leaders that they've got there. I mean, it's fantastic. You can't argue with the quality and the craft in the games that they've delivered, that they're working on now, and the stuff that we've seen so far, so just kudos and hats off to them. I tend to come at that, less of one of those, and more making sure that we are paying attention to the fan expectations. I think that there's a certain kind of game that generates an anticipation that kind of becomes this big tentpole moment. It's a game that fits that intersection that everybody can play, and it's also a big world that you feel like you can inhabit, and I think those kinds of games are important. And certainly, it's been a place where we have been not out in front, but we haven't really had this sort of one-on-one with Sony there. Even Booty acknowledged that. I don't necessarily want to get into a what's our Uncharted, what's our Horizon Dawn, what's our this, what's our that. I don't think that does good for anybody." That's essentially what the article mentioned, and some things that I have wrote down that, when I hear, somebody from Xbox talk about, Xbox Game Studios and where they're going, the things that I had jotted down was I feel like they're on a path to start dropping those bigger blockbuster games. I mean, I think the biggest one that people were looking forward to, right, was Halo, but we all know what's going on with Halo with the whole multiplayer and then the campaign and everything. So it's kind of hard to be like, okay, well, they have that coming out this year. But the point is, I think going forward, right, looking in those next couple years, which is what Xbox has been kind of saying, that like, hey, we won't be having much of anything until maybe like 2022, 2023. But there was one game that they dropped that I enjoyed it a lot, and that was Psychonauts 2. And I thought that did so much better than Psychonauts 1. I think one of the biggest complaints I ever had with Psychonauts was probably the control scheme. And so I feel like they did a lot better on that, making the gameplay so much better. But I feel like they have a couple games in the works, one of which is a personal favorite that I now actually talked to a couple of you on Twitter about, and that's Fable. And I'm excited for them to bring back Fable because I have faith that they're going to bring back Fable into a much bigger scope, knowing how big of a game that is and how much people love that franchise. And so I'm expecting Fable to be another big game that they bring back to some capacity. And another one that we keep hearing about is that Perfect Dark reboot, which, they're claiming it's going to be this big, even quadruple A game that they're working on, that just recently the initiative just got the help from Crystal Dynamics to help on, which take that as you want to take that, but at the end of the day, the whole point for that was that they just needed the help to get the game done, and not just that, but to help kind of push this really big game that they're claiming it's going to be. So my thing is, I think Xbox has a lot of games coming out that are going to be these big, I don't want to say toe-to-toe with PlayStation, but more bigger blockbuster, more iconic kind of games to start, making these series and stuff like that. So I don't know, that's kind of how I look at it. Let me know down below, like, do you think Xbox has games in the pipeline that can start, rivaling, the PlayStation blockbusters? I know some of you might just be like, no, like don't even go there because, PlayStation is just a third person over the shoulder, same thing. But but it does. You can't lie. The PlayStation games get critically received well, and they sell like crazy, right? That's the big thing, is they sell like crazy. So Give me your thoughts down below. What do you feel like Xbox has coming down the road? You know, is it some good stuff? Again, just let me know down below. Mind you, they have not just the ones that I mentioned. I mean, there's even big games from Bethesda, right? We have the biggest one that's coming out soon from Bethesda, the Starfield. I almost want to say Space Time. No, it's Starfield. So keep in mind, again, they have some pretty big games coming out soon. You know, we'll see. You know, I think the big thing is they try to compare it to PlayStation's, like it's more iconic and it's more like just memorable characters, right? Memorable stories. Whereas I'm not sure how much people, I guess, look at Skyrim and say, oh, that's so memorable. But again, Starfield is a brand new IP of its own. So we'll see how that ends up going. But anyways, jumping into story number 2 as we get lost in the discussion of Xbox games, we're going to go back into PlayStation. State of Play returns next Wednesday, October 27th. I'm getting this from the PlayStation blog from Sid Schumann. State of Play returns next Wednesday, October 27th at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And as usual, you can watch the broadcast live on Twitch and on YouTube. They'll be focusing on announcements and updates for upcoming third-party releases headed to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. Real quick, let me remind you guys, they'll be focusing on announcements and updates for upcoming third-party releases headed to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, meaning don't be looking out for some more Horizon Forbidden West, don't be looking out for more God of War, don't think about any of the first-party games. This show is looking to be 20 minutes or so and will share new looks at previously announced games, plus a few reveals from partners around the world, which is, that part of it is pretty exciting. Can we see some new reveals or some type of teases for some new third-party games? And the first one in my concerns and thoughts section here, the first one that I think about is Final Fantasy 16. It has been like, I don't think it's even, either it got vaguely mentioned or just somewhat shown a little bit. Nothing new, I think, though, at the last PlayStation Showcase event. I can't remember. I don't even think it did. And if it did, it was a very quick thing, nothing new. The last PlayStation, or not PlayStation, the last Square Enix Presents, nothing mentioned of Final Fantasy 16. Therefore, I'm at the point where I'm like, all right, it is time for some Final Fantasy 16. I think we all want to see it. So I'm hoping this is, you know, PlayStation's time to go ahead and give us more Final Fantasy 16, especially we kind of got a glimpse at some of the story, I think, from the last showcase trailer. I'm expecting some more gameplay. That's what I would really want to see, because I'm expecting this game to drop sometime next year, but for all I know, it's, you know, even still ways off. You know, we do have Forspoken coming out, and so, I mean, that's another game that I have down here. Maybe it'll be more Forspoken. Maybe they want to highlight more of that, because we do know that game is coming out sometime in early, I think it's spring, actually, 2022. So we could be seeing more of that possibly, but I feel like that was what the last big Square Enix Presents was kind of focusing on. So I think this time it should be safe to say Final Fantasy 16 should get some form of spotlight, even if it's just a brand new trailer. I think we'll take that. Other games could be Ghostwire Tokyo. We could see more of maybe Pragmata, maybe Stray. I mean, let me know down below, what games do you want to see third party, again, remember third party, at this PlayStation Showcase event. Let us know down below, or not state of, it's a state of play, not a showcase event, the state of play. If it was a showcase, we'd be getting a lot more than just that, but no, it is for the state of play. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. Now, jumping into story number 3, which is a pretty big one, the PlayStation 5 is the first console to outsell the Nintendo Switch in nearly 3 years. I'm getting this from The Verge, from Tom Warren. So essentially, I'm going to read a lot of what the article itself kind of just explains, because there's no way I can explain this to you in the easiest form. I think Tom does a great job of breaking it down. So the Verge article reads as follows. Ready? Sony's PlayStation 5 has become the first console to outsell the Nintendo Switch in the US in nearly 3 years. The PlayStation 5 outsold the Switch in September in the US, according to data from retail analytics from the NPD Group. Nintendo Switch had the best-selling console in the US for 33 months in a row. It's nuts. Even outselling both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X during their launch periods. That extraordinary run has come to an end. PlayStation 5 was the best-selling hardware platform of September, keep in mind this was for September, in both units and dollars, explains the NPD Matt Piscata. PlayStation 5 is the best-selling hardware platform of 2021 year to date in dollars, while Nintendo Switch leads in units. The NPD group only tracks sales in the US, so it leaves out big markets like Europe and Asia. The PlayStation 5 is Sony's fastest-selling PlayStation with more than 10 million consoles sold so far. Nintendo has managed to sell 89 million Switch consoles since its launch in 2017. And then Xbox, there's not unnecessarily like concrete number just yet for whatever reason, but according to this article, Daniel Ahmad, a senior analyst at Nico Partners, shared estimates on Twitter earlier this year that place the Series X and the S in total sell in 6.6 million as of June 30th. I think that's a really cool achievement. Again, shout out to PlayStation. I think that's awesome. However, I think with the Switch OLED though dropping in October, I'm sure Switch OLED is right back up there. It does start to make you question, right, and think about, you know, I just read an article just the other day saying that potentially Switch is not getting affected by you know, the chip shortage that's going around, and so you're going to start seeing maybe I think a lot of these like kind of back and forth between who's getting these chips and who can sell their more units and whatnot. So I think it's quite interesting. Obviously, we know PlayStation is still selling like crazy, and again, Switch OLED is going to be selling like crazy because it's already doing, I think, some insane numbers since its inception, pretty much. So yeah, I mean, you can give me your thoughts about that down below. I mean, are you surprised? To be honest with you, it's really cool to see this, but at the same time, I think Switch OLED is going to bring it right back to the next best-selling console for the next month. I wouldn't be surprised. And then going into story number 4, which is also the final one, and that is, you know, I don't like doing too much rumor stuff, but new Bloodborne PlayStation 5 remaster, a sequel, and a PC port rumors are pretty much circling all over again, and a lot, by the way. Now, I'm specifically getting this information from Game Rant from Joshua Duckworth. Basically, just recently reports were published that Bluepoint Games is bringing a Bloodborne remaster to PlayStation 5, right? And that would make sense. That is, you know, that's what Bluepoint pretty much does. They're great at that. But we do know that Bluepoint just recently put out it was on Twitter what I saw, but they put out a public notice saying that, like, hey, you know, we're excited, we're happy for the acquisition, and we're excited to announce that we're working on, it was like one brand new game and then a fan favorite game, pretty much. So we kind of know like that's already circulating. We know like there's something that they're working on. A Bloodborne remaster would make some sense for one of those. Now, basically, additional claims from reliable leaker, a bunch of them, but specifically from this article, they mentioned Nick Baker, who's been accurate in previous leaks about PlayStation Plus games and more, has also added that Bluepoint is doing more than just a remaster, but they are indeed working on Bloodborne 2 and the PC port of Bloodborne. That's apparently, the PC port is apparently finished and it's just waiting for release. The article mentioned that this would be a big surprise considering From Software made the first game, but Sony does in fact own the IP. In other rumors, it's been said Miyazaki will or has aided in the development of Bloodborne 2. And that would be a pretty important piece if Miyazaki is helping with the development of Bloodborne 2, because then, you know, you have somebody from Software, right? Or maybe even a team from Software still aiding in Bloodborne 2, because if not, that just means Bluepoint is just making Bloodborne 2. And here's the thing, the stuff that I have down here is like, okay, one, it's exciting just to know that we're, you know, going to be getting a Bloodborne 2. Again, it doesn't mean we're going to be getting it, right? This is all rumor stuff. But generally, when you have rumors from a bunch of reliable people all circling, I like to think that that's usually a good sign that that is something that is in the works. And it kind of would make some sense, I think, at this point, right? Because it's been, Bloodborne came out like 2015, I think. It's been like a very long time since Bloodborne came out. So I think it would be time for another Bloodborne, and would be a perfect timing too. Another thing I have down here is Demon Souls remake, right? Bluepoint made that game, they did that game, and so I feel like that game was well critically received. I didn't necessarily play it, I did play Bloodborne, but it does still make me kind of nervous that, you know, if From Software is not, you know, helping with this game, we kind of have to look back at Bluepoint's track record, right? And they did do Demon Souls remake, and so maybe they just, you know, have it down, right? They have the gameplay down. They know how that, you know, that Souls gameplay is, and so they're able to capture it with this next Bloodborne 2. So I don't know, take it how you want to take it. I think for me personally, I still want to make sure that you know, From Software to some capacity is helping with the development of Bloodborne 2, because you want it to come from, you know, the Souls creators, Souls masters, right? So I guess let me know your thoughts about that down below. I think if there's a PC port, is really cool to see. PlayStation just did the God of War PC port, right? That officially just came out, and so now you're seeing all these additional games. Not just the potential rumor, right, of a Bloodborne PC port coming. There's also already a Ghost of Tsushima one that's coming, and so PlayStation is not joking. They're starting to drop these games on PC, which Bloodborne, of course, came out years ago. So that's kind of late a little bit. But a Ghost of Tsushima one would be pretty fast if that's the case, because that game just came out a year or two ago. So that's pretty still kind of newish. Typically, PlayStation has been doing a kind of like 2, I guess maybe even like 3-4 year thing where pretty much they do these PC ports after the game has been out for a couple years. So I don't know. You guys let me know down below your thoughts about this. I mean, do you guys like Bloodborne? Or do we have any Bloodborne fans here? I was a big fan of Bloodborne after I finally played it, and I just beat it recently this past year. And so a Bloodborne 2 by Bluepoint, I'll be honest, I'm with it. I'm sold. I think, again, Demon's Souls Remake, I had to play that one. So maybe here's this. I will personally feel better when I play the Demon's Souls Remake, because I know people love that game, right? Again, I know it was critically received for a reason. And so if that did good, I have faith that Bloodborne 2 will be good, if that is the case. But I'd be feeling even better if we know to some degree From Software is helping with the development of this game. Now, guys, before we conclude, a quick list of games to look out for next week, one of which I'm extremely excited for, but I don't know if I'm going to get it on the day of. I haven't decided yet, but Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is dropping on PlayStation 5, Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. That is October 26th. Keep your eyes out for that. And then Mario Party Superstars on Switch, October 29th. I think the Mario Party one I might hold off on, but the Guardians of the Galaxy, I haven't decided if I want to get that one. Let me know down below. Are you going to be picking that game up? Because it does actually look really good. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching this week's weekly wrap. Let me know down below your comments about any of the news articles that we talked about, or anything that you saw that you want to talk about. Just drop it down below. Again, I am Lethal1Up. Thank you guys for watching. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and like this video if you just enjoy the content. We appreciate that here a lot. And again, I'll go ahead and conclude it here. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Lethal1Up, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.